Does she need to scoot
I need
in?
to scoot up.
Okay, I guess I'll just stay on topic and not go rogue here.
So I'm borrowing a pen.
Okay, so we're just gonna kind of go through our agenda, and kind of what we're gonna be talking about. So kind of the first thing is discuss the presented challenge, and that is, you know, getting our students that we are finding are struggling and that are possibly at risk of not being successful on the STAR test, and kind of what kind of plan we're gonna put into action for them to be able to come to tutorials, incentives for tutorials to get them there. So that's kind of our focus, to kind of look at what classifies them as at risk, what kind of parameters. We're gonna look at that today. We're also gonna look at what the tutorials are gonna look like, how that's going to roll out, and also look at possible data on what STAR questions they are struggling with, and I jotted some of those down. So that's kind of what our goal is today. So looking at analyzing the data, so view test data and 6 weeks averages. So what I did when looking at the at-risk kids, I went and looked at their test grades. I looked at their test grades because then I would see some students that were failing, or that are real like at that 70 mark that would kind of put you in that at risk. But then I look at their 6 weeks, they're not turning in notes, they're getting, you know, zeros on all of that. So
But then they're doing well on the test and quizzes.
Right.
Because I did that at first, I did my failures too, and then I was like, wait, no.
And then I went back and I looked at their actual test grades, because I think those are the students that are gonna struggle on the STAR.
Right, that's
I
what
agree.
these are.
Okay.
And so these are my kids who are at risk more than the ones that say it, because like these, I've got 3, 4, 5, 6 that fail every single
Yeah.
test.
I was like looking at, okay, who are my constant retesters?
These are the ones who cannot comprehend these questions very well. They
Right.
can't break it down.
And also, like, I think we should even go back, and since you have like the list of those students, and I have like probably 10 or 11, and then even going back and looking, like if you go to in Aware and you go to profile, and then you click on their name, like you click on their name, I don't know if y'all have gone this way, sometimes I check things that way, then you can see like their history, like DLAs that they got on in world history. So you can see if there's like like how are they doing last year, or how, you know, just kind of see all of those grades together, just to get, I guess, a better understanding of that student, and you know, if they really would fall in this category. So I think that's how we identify what students we are going to focus on and target on, who needs to qualify for this at-risk. So I'm gonna kind of jump down to the intervention tutorial suggestion first before we talk about like STAR test and questions and what that should look like. So admin is wanting us to do tutorials, to offer tutorials for these students that would be qualified. Now, I don't know, do you open that to any student that wants to join, or would they have to kind of fall in this at-risk?
I think that's at the discretion of the team.
Okay.
I mean, they're designed for those that would need the extra support, but
I mean, we could maybe say something like, if you feel like you are someone that needs extra support, like,
yeah, if you're
come and
nervous.
talk to us.
Well, or if you have a student that is new to the country,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
you know, some of those that like do well in class, but they might have missed, like, you know, they just may not have gotten all of here in the fall or something like that. I don't know, they could fall into that category. So it was presented for the tutorials to be, was it 4 weeks or 6 weeks?
4 weeks.
4 weeks, okay, so it would be after spring break?
The week after spring break.
Okay. 1 day a week after school was the presented suggestion, and we can talk about who do those. I would volunteer.
I would volunteer. I would certainly, I want these kids coming.
Right.
And I could start by all the ones who come to me all the time anyways. I know what each one of these ones struggle with. And so
Yeah,
since I know them so well,
Yeah.
but you're right, it's the incentive for those who like.
the ones that don't wanna come. Also, I mean, I know they did this for telepass, I don't know if it's something we could do, like, they would bring passes in for them to go somewhere during enrichment.
I know, I was gonna say, I can help with during enrichment after school, it's just like hard.
Yeah, I
with my
understand
kids.
I don't know if that's something we
Like,
wanna
after school's gonna be
ask,
hard
but
for
that's,
some of
I'm
these
just,
I think
I
it could
know.
be an additional, like,
Can we
part of the intervention
utilize,
plan,
yeah, utilize enrichment?
cause I thought about that today when I had a telepass
Right.
pass come in, I was like, oh, well, if we give them that pass and it kinda looks more official, like this tutorial, you know, come to the library and we could combine class, we could figure that.
Yeah,
Because
it's
we
very
would
easy,
get
cause I only
more-
have 6 kids, so we
Yeah.
can, I can watch or whatever.
Yeah,
So that might be a good.
well, you might get more
option.
attendance if they're actually at school.
Right.
Cause I think like, it's gonna be harder, like, not only is it, do you have to go to this tutorial, but now you actually have to stay after school
Right,
too.
and figure out how to get home or whatever
Yeah.
that case is. I think our starting numbers would be, I mean, I still wanna offer it. I
Yeah.
just think that we might have, if we do both,
Right.
I think both would be a great idea.
And they
Um,
are gonna get, like, official paperwork from the school saying, like, you were
Mhm.
invited to this tutorial or
Mhm.
like, intervention, and so that's gonna be a letter to the parents being sent
Okay.
out,
So they have
once
to-
the students have been identified.
Okay,
And then I think I also volunteered to call parents as well,
Okay.
so that could also help, hopefully.
just get them
Boost
here,
attendance,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just boost the attendance. I know you said something like maybe say we'll have snacks for you after school or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We'll have
that's a
snacks.
big
Yeah, we'll have
incentive.
snacks, yeah.
Yeah, you can have a snack and, you know, a small tutorial. Okay, so that's something that we need to do, kind of look a little more in depth about our at-risk kids and make kind of that actual list. Probably, I guess, have your own list since we don't share names and stuff just for privacy issues. So just kind of have that own list and maybe, I don't know, I would kind of jot down some things about the students, maybe looking at, I might go back and look at their test scores, maybe look at which ones they really, when you go back and look in and where, kind of look at maybe where they really struggled. I don't know if we can break it down even more, just to pull data.
A lot of the ones that hurt them are just drop down, put in order, like that kind of stuff for some of these kids.
So now kind of going back up to the STAR test and looking at, kind of looking at the data. So I went through, and looked at the questions, and it was all of the students from last year, and it was the questions, I just kind of visually looked at it and looked at like where I saw most, you know, it was a more missed question. I'm sure there's probably a quicker way to do that, but I just kind of looked at it quickly. And I jotted down those questions and I jotted down the TEKs. One of those that was heavily missed was a drag and drop. Also one that was partial. So I'm not sure what that question looked like, but I did write down the numbers. So I tried to pull up the STAR test from last year, but I think you'd have to like
Yeah, we have.
Guide
PDF.
me?
We have PDF, yeah.
where to see that.
Since it's online, there's no like printable version, so then
Got
what we
it.
did was we just like snipped the
Snipped it,
pictures,
okay.
yeah.
Cause
And
I could
there's a
go,
Can you send that to us? Okay.
cause I could go back and look at, like I could see the answer key and I could see the answers and some of the rationales and stuff, which might be helpful to look at the rationales of how they graded it or.
Yeah.
It'd be helpful to incorporate that in our week of review or whatever too, is to definitely target the whole class. You know,
Sure.
just a-
Use some of these
well,
strategies
use
that we're going to come up with.
The drag and drop
Yeah.
and the partial and.
At least like our kids are familiar with seeing that, so like when
Right.
it comes to the test, they're gonna be like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at, so we'll go ahead and once I get the STAR, kind of look at those questions and kind of maybe make up kind of a more focus on what questions, what content that they're struggling in. That way we can kind of gear what we want, because I mean, 4 tutorials is, you know, it needs to be pretty condensed, and focused on what they're really struggling on. So kind of going forward, and just something that's just kind of like brainstorm and think about, and I'll kind of take it and figure out what it's gonna look like, is our instructional like strategies that we want to implement during this type of time. Do we want to, you know, photos? I really think excerpts
Yeah,
Is this at the after school or during our week-long review?
This would be like the app, this would be the extra one for
Okay, and
the
how long
targeted group of students.
After school, how long is it, like
I'll
an
double check,
hour?
I think it's an hour, yeah.
Mhm. That sounds about
Yeah.
right.
and then we
Um,
can have some additional ones during enrichment too.
Mhm.
Sure, I think so. But I think excerpts, there were so many excerpts.
Yeah.
Which there were a lot on the last test. I don't know if y'all,
Yeah,
like,
yes, there were. I just think
There's a
that
lot
just
of
the
them.
exposure to
Yeah.
them and like breaking them down, how to,
like,
I'm
look
not-
at the, who says it, look at
Yes.
the date, like, even if it, don't get overwhelmed just because there's like a bunch of words,
right, look
like,
at it and take a breath
Mhm.
and kind of work through it. And give them some of those, give them some to look at and then break them down. I think that would be a good idea. Photo analysis. And then I think also just kind of reviewing that content that they struggled in, that we're seeing like the high
teaks,
critiques that they're missing. Like there's one that I need to look it up, but I didn't have a chance to look it up, but the US 10 C and D, I mean, that one was dinged several times.
Which one?
10 C and D. It was dinged. I actually have the thing up there.
You said 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 10 is about the 70s through 1990. So 10D is describe the causes and key organizations of the conservative resurgence of the 1980s.
I'm not actually surprised because we
Huh.
have to cram that
We
in at the
cram it,
last
so,
minute, and they
yeah.
put all of the 80s and 90s in one chapter.
Wait, what does it say?
C is Camp David Accords, the
Yeah.
Iran
Mhm.
hostage crisis, the Marines. and
Which
Russian
we're
resistance.
teaching very
Yeah.
quickly
Yeah,
all
very
Very
next
quickly,
week.
they don't have time to absorb it. It's kind of good.
That's interesting, okay.
The Marines in Lebanon, yeah.
I think, yeah, that's,
The Iran hostage crisis, I feel like they normally get, but then I think sometimes they get that mixed up with the Iran-Contra affair.
mhm.
And then for some reason, they have a
And
hard
the-
time remembering the Camp David Accords, which I feel like that's pretty easy, but I don't know.
It's just because it's all so much content they're firstly exposed to. We know this stuff.
Right.
They've never even heard
Heard
of
of
this
it,
stuff.
yeah.
They're not even born. So, and then it's like, okay, and then we're gonna throw this at you and throw this at you, and then there's the Iran Contra, and then there's this, and then they're supposed to
And all the
like
words are kind of
process this, and they're not AP kids, they're academic, so you can't expect them to really like comprehend all of that, and then like absorb it, process it, and then, cause
Yeah.
we don't
Well,
have
that's
time.
good to know though, cause we can focus
Yeah.
on some of the
More
more recent
recent.
stuff on
Yeah.
the, tutorials.
And
Because
maybe
usually
as
you
we're
would think,
teaching
a
it-
lot of times I always think, oh, they're gonna miss the early stuff.
Yeah,
Like Tocqueville or whatever his name is.
Alexis
Um,
Tocqueville.
Yeah, we
Oh,
can
yeah.
do
That's what I want.
we could maybe do an activity with some of these to help. You know, I know we do a lot of activities.
Right.
I was like, we really have like no time. Like, I was just doing chapter 10.
Are you referring to in plus?
Community class stuff.
I mean, there's nothing we can do about it, so
We had to cut the activity that like,
that helps
What's the
them to
process
process it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
because they
And
can't do
ask
those
for
activities
those,
without any background. You know, like we've tried to do that before and that didn't work very well. And so it's like, we really only have the one day for background, so we're gonna have to focus on it in these extra tutorials.
Well, then, I mean, there's nothing we can do. If it's not on us and it's not on the kids, that's really
right,
on the state.
on the schedule. I'm trying to get like, we could do like that would be like a homework assignment though, if we did some sort of
Unless we
like.
wanna take out, we could on Monday, we can change it around some and not really spend time on the culture.
But that's like a whole, like, section in their book.
2.5 pages. We could do a warm-up on it and
On
then
the
spend more
counterculture.
time.
I mean, but that's one day. I think we're gonna need more. I don't care, we can do that, but.
Well, no, but I'm saying then we can re-implement and put back in the processing activity. Like if we push things, do you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
if we push things
We can
back.
push that to the last 6
You're,
weeks.
you're talking about Vietnam, right?
No, we're talking about chapter 10.
Cause we can put that in the last 6 weeks. I'm just saying, I think we need more than one day. The processing activity is great. I think we still need more like a week
Oh,
for
yeah.
all of them to process all of this information.
Well, I mean, yeah, well, they're gonna have several days, but I'm just saying we cut the activity that was the processing one on like Nixon and Carter and like the.
What was that activity?
It was like it was looking at different pictures and
Oh,
deciding on
okay.
like what it went with.
Oh,
That's,
which that might be good.
don't we have one on Reagan and the quotes and stuff too?
We do,
Yeah.
but we've had to,
Cut that one as well.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But that might be
That
stuff
was
that
the
we can
circle
bring
of
back.
five.
Why can't we bring those back when we do like our Star Week?
Yeah, we could bring some of those back. I mean, condense them down, or we could
Sure.
take parts of it so that
Pieces
it's not
of it.
just one act, like not just the 80s, but take parts from chapter 10, chapter 11, and 12 to combine into one activity. Do you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
because the Reagan's are quotes, right? You said
Yeah,
those.
and we can revamp some of the stuff that we've done, like
We have a
review
ton of it,
wise
Too.
Yeah.
in the past. I like the connection cards though.
Yeah, connection cards are good. 'Cause you get the
Yeah.
visuals. Okay, so let me just check. So, all right, so what types of questions and content area that they're scored low on, we have that, and we go back and look at all that. Brainstorm types of strategies, I think excerpts are gonna be good. I almost think we should maybe a short practice test, like right when they come in, just to maybe gauge, like give them some, maybe like 10.
Like for tutorials?
Yes, just
Okay.
maybe like, just on Canvas, something short, something that's easy.
Yeah, because Marina used to do that last year with the kids that were at risk. She did something where she would pull them, because then she was like, oh, I was really surprised they did like better on this than I thought. But I don't know, do you know what I'm talking about? It was some sort of test that she was pulling kids for, like that was going, I don't know.
So I think it'd be nice to like assess them like right before we start.
Like a pre-assessment.
I think
Just-
actually the interim, it could be a really good pre-assessment,
Okay,
because it's gonna be up, right?
that's right. And what
Oh,
the
yeah.
date is before?
It's the 4th.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's great. So that'll give us a really good like snippet of where
Right.
they stand.
Right.
Yeah, that is a good
Perfect.
idea.
That's when we do that like DLA thing.
Yeah, on the computer, which I
Right.
need to like make sure I go through all that.
Okay, so that's good.
I think we have to like, yeah.
And we already have stuff on Canvas. I said Canvas help, but, I think we already have stuff on Canvas that I can just open up that they can have access to. Monitoring progress, I think just kind of knowing our students, then knowing interim, and then, I don't know, just trying to maybe get a feel from them. I'm not sure, I mean,
For wait, which one?
for our students that are,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Cause I'm like, are they gonna be like, how did I get picked? Why did I get picked? Like, or are they gonna be like, your teachers picked you? Or like how, I don't know. I can see some of my
Yeah,
kids
I'm
having
not
some pushback.
I think mine will know.
This list right here. will
My
be-
all my students they struggle on tests. They their test has been consistent throughout the year.
Well, yeah,
Their
that's
scores
like,
have been
I'm-
low.
And I've done, yeah, I've like had interventions before where I selected particular students, and so I, just had, if they did ask, and I think I
Yeah.
was pretty.
Looked
forthright
at,
and
okay.
told
I
them,
think
hey,
so.
There's
I
like one or
think-
two that
yeah.
I'm like, they're gonna give me some pushback, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I just
Like,
think that
well-
it
It's
would be
just,
really
your purpose of
helpful.
wanting
Yeah.
them to be successful. you
Right,
know?
it's like, well, maybe we should look at our test grades.
Yeah, and we want you to be successful the first time on this.
And I think them getting like the official like school notification,
Mhm.
and then I'll call home, and hopefully, parents will answer, and I'll be able
I'll
to
know
have
that
a
it's-
conversation with them.
It's serious. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about in dealing with this. So kind of the things that I'm gonna take away from this and do, just so we kind of know what's happening is, first for you guys to kind of really hone in on your at-risk list. Kind of have a little bit of background on their scores and where they might have struggled, going back and looking and aware. So doing that. And I did have one other thing, like just to discuss, is our SPED students. So I was looking at some of my SPED students' scores, and their test grades aren't terrible. But I know just them as a student, I'm like, is it because you have certain accommodations, because you're in that small group and you're getting that help from the co-teach that you're not gonna get during STAR?
Oh, for sure, mine.
You
Well,
know?
are our C-coded kids getting? Cause if they're not getting anything, I think the C-coded kids, it counts against
Text
us,
embedded.
that they don't,
Or
Does it
against
count against
the course?
graduation?
It doesn't count against graduation, it just
Oh.
counts against us, but